Hey everybody, welcome to the Model Train Outsiders Series 2, Episode 3. And if you were looking for the Ghost of 2015 and Dr. Zayas, I just elected to go straight into the show today. I think they've been holding me back from doing this episode for a while. As the title says, this episode is called The Journey of a Station, so let me explain a little bit about it. A lot of the key builds I did with what little work I've done on this table in the 4 years since I set this particular table up was the Delmenhorst Station. And I built it before I started doing YouTube, at least seriously doing YouTube. And so nobody's really seen me do anything too creative. Some of you may have seen some of my videos where I did the train station's bus center, and but I'll probably do a follow-up episode about that. And I did post a couple of videos about the how I wired the sound and lights into the canopies on the platforms of the train station. But the train station itself was mostly built before I started redoing the table. In fact, I redid this table once I built the station. So I want to give you a little history, and I've got a few pictures, just a few, and I'll try to tell the story relatively quickly, but every time I say quickly, it goes 45 minutes, so let's just assume this will be 45 minutes and cheer if it's less. All right, so first of all, when I got in model trains and decided to create a layout, there was only one thing that had to be on it, and that was the Delmenhorst Train Station. I spent 15 summers in the city of Delmenhorst, well, 15 Junes in the city of Delmenhorst in northern Germany. And I have a map here that I'll increase in size so that you can see it. There it is. So there is Delmenhorst, or this is Germany. And if you zoom in real quick, Delmenhorst is about 9 miles west of downtown Bremen, which is the biggest city. And you can see we're relatively close to Hamburg in the north and Hanover in the center. So that is the city I'm recreating because I ran an exchange program, as most of you know, to that city for 15 years. And when Joyce and I have traveled to Germany alone the last couple of times we've gone, we always go to Delmenhorst and pop in. And it was a wonderful feeling, and I call it my adopted German hometown. So that's the one thing. I wanted to recreate Delmenhorst, and that is the goal of one side of my layout. And it started with the station. And the station is a bit unique because the station is a subterranean, well, it's basically a viaduct if I wanted to look at it that way. You can see here that the track lines actually go over the station, and the station is built into a hill. So the first thing I needed was measurement and sizes. So here is a Google Earth image of the station, and there are two things you have to see about it. One is it's got 3 lines coming in, 1, 2, and 3, and then you have platform 1, and then platform 2 and platform 3 are a combined platform. There's a relatively short passenger area, but platform 2, 3 actually is very, very long. But in all honesty, rarely does anybody go there. Not quite sure why it's that long. But the other thing to notice is that you have this hill area, and you can see all the trees and dirt net that come up to it. And then the actual station itself, if I zoom in, is basically a large concrete square that's about 10 feet high This large concrete inner hallway is 10 feet high, and then there's an additional 10 feet of wall. So if I go back to that previous picture, you can see here's the hall, and then there's this upper level, and this hall sticks out. So again, here you can see that large area, concrete area, which has got shops and the ticket agency, a bakery, the typical things you'd find inside a German station, the typical shops you'd find inside a German station. But you can see, and again, let me zoom in on this, you can see these two areas that are about 8 to 10 feet wide that stick out. And while I'm at it, I'll just point this out real quick. You can see this funny little sunscreen and weather screen area that's actually crooked. It's actually crooked. That is here. So when you look at it, here you can see how this juts out. There's this little part of it that sticks out. So you've got the high wall here, which is about 10 feet or so high, and then you've got an additional 8 to 10 feet above it. But then on both sides, you have this little area that, again, is about 8 to 10 feet wide right here that jut out. And this is a shop, Little Mona's Moda, which went out of business in 2019 after I started making the station. And some solar panels up here. And the station, the elevator to upstairs is right here. All right. So I had to recreate that. And how? Well, the first thing I did was I used Google Earth, as you saw some of the images, and I used Google Earth's tape measure application on it, and I did straight measurements. And I got the length of the platforms, the width of the concrete bunker area that's basically going through the viaduct. And so I got all that information. And what I didn't have, I picked up in 2017 with my own actual tape measure when I was at the Delmenhorst Station and said, okay, this is about 9.5 feet tall. This is about whatever. And so I was able to get pretty accurate measurements, and then you have to decide exactly what the scale. As we all know, I do HO, which is 1/87 scale, but almost all HO buildings and associated products are not 1/87 scale. You know, most of the German, for example, the passenger cars are rarely 1/87 scale. Every now and then a company brags true scale, but usually they are about 1/95th scale. And I know that Miniature Wonderland, all their buildings and most model buildings are at 1/100th scale. And I know some of the buildings at Miniature Wonderland for width and depth are 1/110th. You know, they'll do 187 or 195 in height, but they just because otherwise they couldn't fit everything in. Like St. Peter's Basilica from Vatican City, they did at 1/110th, I think they said was the final scale for that. But be that as it may, I wanted this to be as realistic as possible. But to do, for example, that long platform 2-3 at true 1/87 scale, I would have needed a 15-foot wide table, 15-foot long table, and I have a 12.5-foot table. Well, let me rephrase that. I would have needed an 18-foot long table to fit the 15-foot long platform in it. But otherwise, I decided to do everything at 1/87 scale, true scale. The Delmenhorst Station is true scale. The width and the depth across the through the passenger passage area, as it's called, with all the shops, that is true 1/87 scale. The platforms and the tracks are exactly 1/87th scale apart as they are. The platforms are 1/87th width. It's true 1/87th scale. I just got the measurements, converted it to centimeters, millimeters, whatever, and divided it by 87. Right. So I built it over a period of months with several starts and stops. The problem is I didn't film any of this. I took some pictures at stages, and that's what I'll show you, and try to explain what I did. I had the help of several friends that I would send messages to my friends in Germany and go, hey, anybody out there, do you have pictures of the inside of this part of the Delmenhorst Station, or could you go get it? Would you take some pictures of this, please? And then in 2018 and 2019, 2017 and 2019, when Joyce and I went back to Germany by ourselves without students, we took a crap load of photographs. Unfortunately, I deleted a lot of them because I sort of said, okay, I'm done with this and I don't need these pictures, and I got rid of them all. So fortunately I do have a few saved, mostly from trips to Germany or pictures friends sent me of specific things. But like the wide concourse halls and that, I have a habit of saying I'm only using this picture for this, and when I'm done, to save computer space, I delete it all. Alright, so I'm going to pop this box up here to fill up the screen, and I'll go through and tell you about it. But so I started off with some balsa wood. I believe I'm using 1/8 thick for the walls and 3/16 balsa sheet for the base, and then I reinforced it with some balsa cube rod just to hold it up and keep it square. I had the measurements, so I cut those measurements out for this would be sort of the surrounding area. And actually this would be built in 3 pieces. There'd be 2 more sections, about 2/3 the sides of this each way, to represent the rest of the embankment and to cover the platforms. But this was the center area, and this cutout area is that concrete passage area that has the shops and then goes on into the inside of the station. So I measured up the correct distance, converted distance to inches, centimeters. I don't even remember if I did a metric. And and then I spaced them out, drew the lines, and I connected them to the board. Now once there, I had to do the next thing, which is if you looked at that previous picture, and I suppose I could go real quickly back to some of these pictures, you can see that there is glass framing here. You can see that there is this, and it's not true glass. It is a plastic. Okay, if I enlarge that just a bit, this is thick plastic as opposed to true breakable glass. And you can see it's so wide, and then there's these 2 upper layers here. And then there's a lower framing area, and that's all aluminum. That's all aluminum up there. And then what's kind of hard to see, but maybe you can see it here, there's a concrete base it's on before you have the pavement. And there's actually a slope in the ground to go in the main entrance, and that is the main entrance here on the left. So now I'll go forward again. So I used plastruct bits, stairwells and other things, and I just kit bashed, bought some L-beams and other things, and I began putting it together. I got the right heights that I wanted, and this is what I call a proof of concept. You will hear me use that term a lot. Proof of concept, proof of concept, proof of concept, because I'm always trying to mess with something and see if it works before I do the full work in. Alright, well, I like the proof of concept. I had everything set up, so I began painting it and measuring it and checking height, because I had to allow a little bit of space. This is like 1/32 board. It might be 1/16 board. And to account for that concrete slab that these exterior bits sit on top of. Once I did that, I started cutting, you can see on the sides here more readily. I had to do two things. Fit doors, and doors had to be custom made. Yes, I kit bashed, but then I had to alter them and shape them so that they match the doors that were there. Again, this is more of a proof of concept, so if things are looking a little jaggedy or not straight, it's because nothing is tied down. I'm just fitting in glass pieces, seeing if it works, seeing if my concept of how I'm going to fit this glass into these bits work. And once I have proof of concept, I go from there. So here I've completed it. I've added a roof, but none of this is glued in. You can see I've now added the concrete slab. The lines are straight. I still have to create the large sliding door mechanisms that fit in here. And I've also built a roof, and I've started working on some rough ideas for the platform. So that's why those cars are up there, is that I've temporarily laid some track down. I laid the roof down. Now the roof is 3/16 plywood. No, I'm sorry, 3/8 plywood, because I wanted a strong piece of wood that would support the pounding, the weight that train after train after train riding across it would do, and also muffled the sound a bit. So I have a very thick, strong piece of plywood cut in to base the platforms and the tracks on that would support the weight. And so here you can see I've taken that roof off because nothing had been glued into place yet, because I'm going to put store interiors and all sorts of things in there. But at this stage, I started working on the platforms a bit. There's a company called Motorstück that makes the exact type of platform. You can see this is just a thin piece of laser cut, and I glue it onto a 3/16 piece of balsa wood, which I then attach to shaved down balsa cube rods, and then I'll gradually cut these sections out and add the stairs. You can where the stairs are going to be, because this is going to be a legitimate stairway down. It's not going to be a fake stairway. It's not going to be one of those false stairways. It will be a full stairway all the way down, and that's the stairs that come with the kit, but I did not use them. But I did use that. So you can kind of see how this is all set up here. You can see the little pieces of cubed rod, and everything fits on top of that. Okay, so now the roof is back off, and you can see I've now refit the roof again and painted the walls to the actual colors that the Delmenhorst Station concrete walls are. And I've added, to support the weight of that 3/8 inch slab of plywood, I am adding the ends of some 2x4s I had laying around from some of my various home improvement construction jobs. I always keep the spare woods, even short pieces, in case I need something for something. And I'm adhering those, and then I will screw down that wooden roof when I am ready to put it together for the final time, and then put the platforms on. But a lot of other things would have to go in first. So here you can see again, while things are drying, I've added this little roof covering here onto everything. I have built my mock-ups of the two little gondolas or weather coverings they have that lead into the two doors. This is actually the main entrance up above, the southern entrance, because Delmenhorst is south of the station. And then this is actually the north end, which faces just a smaller section of Delmenhorst. And you can see that none of this is fixed in yet. I just have things laid down and on so that I could paint the boards all the colors I wanted them to be based on what I was going to be putting on them, etc., etc. All right, now once I've got all of that set, I started doing, again, proof of concepts. I want this to be 100% realistic. So what I did was I had friends take pictures of all the signs of the shops. And then I printed those signs up on high quality photo paper, glossy photo paper. And then I cut those out and glued them to very thin pieces of balsa wood or thin pieces of plastic sheets I bought. And then I glued the signs on and then painted them with a matte varnish. So glossy paper, matte varnish. And again, I'm just doing a proof of concept here, although the signs down here are good, but this Elven Grill sign, Elfan Grill, I should call it, a Turkish restaurant in the station. And here you see the other side, and I started adding roof. Now again, the roof is not adhered. I have not attached the roof yet because I still have to put shop interiors. But I've added the signage for Burger King, the service store, the Deutsche Bahn service store, which is just pop, beer, snacks, cigarettes, etc. Some of the roof details, I've added on more to come. I've made the solar panel that you would see. I'm working here again on the platforms and lining things up above and below. So this is just going back, really going back before some of the previous pictures, just to show you how I made and laid out the platforms. And eventually you can see all three sections attached here. The platform, the upper platform areas are cut out for the stairs to go down, and then I would have to cut the roof, but that would be the last thing I do before I put everything together, because I still want the support here, and then I have to decide on lighting. All right, so let's go back. So now I've started putting in shop interiors. This is Mona's Moda. You can also see I've added some of the signage that went with this. And I do have some pictures that I will show in a minute that show the reality. A couple of these payphone cellular towers, a little cigarette machine. I've added more roof details, the ventilation stack, the satellite dish, the security cameras are on. I've done the Burger King and added chairs and tables and such. Some of that was kit bashed as opposed to scratch built. I've added the one clock that was here, the Deutsche Bahn sign here. I'm just adding stuff. And so here you can see there's the actual signage, the solar panels. The sign actually gives you the information of what the solar panel is generating, the temperature, wind, and how many kilowatts an hour the solar panel is producing. There's those two towers, the T-Mobile phone and the cigarette machine. So if I were to go back a picture, you can see I have recreated that 100%, towers and other things coming as I can. So there's the Elven Grill. There's the real life sign. Now, obviously, I don't have the street signs in, and I still don't have those in. I still have to do that, but this side is facing the part of my layout that is not finished, where people sit and watch. So I won't be putting a lot of this stuff in because there's nowhere to put it. I'll eventually will put a couple of the street signs and that on it, but I probably won't do the lights, the street lights, because I don't have the street there. All right, so then, now that all the outside was being set, I began to work on the interior. And I started with the Bachwerk shop, and I had friends take pictures. Again, I don't have interiors. Here I'm starting that elevator I showed you way back, and the side entrance doors to the service station shop, the snack shop, the In-N-Out Mart. And then over here, I'm building the ticket office, the Deutsche Bahn ticket office. I got the two people working there. This is not 100% reality because there's actually 3 registers they have on here. But, all right, it's 2. I custom built the magazine and brochure rack here. I grabbed a couple of pieces of plastic out of a kit and printed up the little Delmenhorst nets, local net signage here that shows the main cities Delmenhorst connects to. Customers already there. I've added from a kit, I added a ATM, a couple of ticket machines, the lockers, the signs, the departure and arrival posters. And then this area is a bathroom, but I did not put everything in here. There's a doorway here that leads into the bathroom. And I added the signage to the different platforms, but this was the bathroom. But again, you can't see here. When you're inside the station or outside, you cannot see what's in here. There used to be a store here. When I first started going to Delmenhorst in 2003, there was a little shop in here, but it's long since been gone, and this has been closed off space forever, so I didn't know what to put there. So I assume it's used as empty space or storage space for the other places in here. So as I looked at the pictures, I just added what I could add. So here you can see I jump way ahead, and I've added everything. I've added all the interior walls of the Elfin Grill. Here is the elevator up to platforms 2 and 3, the elevator to platform 1. These odd angled walls. This is the service station with the pop machines, the candy, the breakfast sandwiches, whatever, the Bachwerk. I am putting in the framing for, and you can see the doors here. This is basically a roof support, but they have these large glass doors that open like French doors or Venetian doors, and they're always open except late at night when the store closes. But this is a breakfast sandwich and donut shop. It's a bakery shop. And these 2 pillars that might show up in a couple of the pillars that I will show you with a clock in between. Again, they're weight support pillars. They're just interestingly placed there. So I don't know if they were added later as additional roof support. You have a couple of very thick metal pillars here and here that are hidden roof supports. And it helps hold these glass partitions in place. This was very tricky to do this, to bend this correctly. But gradually I added all the little bits based on pictures, lotto signs, the Coke signs, just used whatever I could find out of various kits. So a lot of this was kit bashing, although the shelving in the stores were from actual Fowler kits, in-store shelving. And then in some, I adjusted them, modified them to look more like what was there inside. But that is sort of like I went from very little done to everything done. And there's those 2 pillars, the lotto sign, the relay store. And I signed that, so if I were to go back again, there's the curved relay store with those 2 metal poles here. And these 2 big block pillars here. So I'll go back again and you can see what I'm talking about. There's the relay store, which was a magazine shop with the sign. There's the lotto sign. There's the 2 posts, the clock. The only thing I haven't done to the post yet is added those little tile wraps, which I had begun adding in places. This little tile, you can see here it has these little tile wraps on it, these little brick setup. But here's another angle of it as everything's going in. It definitely needs cleaned up, but I put more people, all the signage in. In some cases I didn't do a great job, and nobody will ever see this. That's sort of the odd thing. Nobody will ever see this. You'll never see this part of the station because it's behind everything, and unless you went in with some kind of a scope camera, you'll never know that's there, but I know it's there. And there's the possibility I could always drill a hole and put one of those micro cameras in. But there's the Deutsche Bahn customer area. So you can see I recreated all these signs here in these book racks. And the counters are back here, the main entrance. So what I was just showing you is right here. There's that main entrance, and again I haven't added the signage here yet, but I was just pointing out that shop and all that stuff around here. But yeah, I don't have all the signs up in this picture yet. So there you can see it with everything on, and that's what I'm making there. yes, I did. I keep saying it, but I did eventually make the signs and stick them on there. There's the Elfin Grill. There's the Elfin Grill. I did a really crappy job. I really had to clean those windows, and I wound up taking that sign down and putting a better one up. And now we go back, and I made the stairs out of wooden slats that I glued back and forth, added the signage, and it's rough concrete, so I kind of did a rough concrete smear with some plaster in here, add the signs, add the handrails, the fencing around. It is a very tight walk right here, just like it is in reality, and started adding some people. So now from a distance, I've started building the platforms to length. Took a lot of work. But as you can see, I've sitting it on, and this is when, this is about the time I started making my YouTube channel, because I had just started tearing down the track, because I originally had track on this table, and I took it all off, painted it brown, and so if you ever see old videos of a white table, that was this table, but the foam board was painted white, and then I painted it brown once I was ready to start adding everything and add terrain and what would follow. So there is the real thing. And there is a distant mock-up, and it's a very grainy picture. I apologize for that. But again, I wasn't done here. Things needed cleaned up. Other things needed done yet. But Mona's Moda, Service Store, Burger King. The main entrance, this is the south or main entrance. So south, main entrance, Mona's Moda here, the Burger King, the Service Store. The doors are exactly the same. And then I had to work on the top and add the platforms. And you can see when you come up, you can see how narrow that walk is right here on platform 1. So I recreated that. This is a ticket verification. When you buy the single pass tickets, you have to verify them, actuate them. And there's a little machine here that you pop it in to verify. And this is also a good picture for the little destination and train announcements, the clock and the Delmenhorst sign, the seating areas that are enclosed. And also, this was a good picture so that I could look at how the roofing system, the canopy system is done. So you can see it is a girder, a long girder, an I-beam going one way, that then there's two others in the middle, and then there is plating between them. And then you have what looks like girders, but they're just little welded on to the interior girder, and there's little spikes on top of them. And I'll zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. So see, this is sort of like almost like a fake girder here. And that goes up here because this roof has to be wedge shaped. It has to be off angle because it collects the rain down to a middle channel and then runs it to downspouts at the end of each row. And I had to pay attention to the support structures, which I had fabricated. So here you can see I made the seating areas, the upper level elevators, and I took pieces of plastic and again used photographic bits, photograph paper, and glued it on, gloss finish, pieces of plastic. Even though they make signs like this, they don't make them specific to Delmenhorst. So I had to take pictures of the signage when I was in Germany in 2019 for the different platforms and have them reading specifically relevant to Delmenhorst. Trains going to Bremen, trains going to Oldenburg, or the ICEs. And so I made all these. I had to custom make all these. So even though you could technically buy kits that have the signage, it's not the same way it is, and because I was going for accurate. So now you can see I've built and installed the platform lighting as well as the platform announcements. The only thing that isn't on here yet would be the lettering, because there are letters like this is section A, section B, section C, section D. But I've got people on, the pop machines on, and I will put links below. Let me shrink this down for a second. I will put links down below because I do have videos on what I think is the coolest part of my platform canopy sections. And that is they are lit and they have speakers in them for sound, so that I can run the station announcements from here, but they come through speakers on the platforms over there. So there's actual sound that comes out of it, and it sounds just like station announcements. I'm very pleased with that. I'll put the link down there. But it was quite fun to do it. But everything I do is jerry-rigged, okay? I don't go by a book. And even if I watch people's videos on how to do things, it doesn't necessarily specifically apply to how you're trying to do something. And the only way you could do a how-to video is if somebody said, hey, here's how I built the Delmenhorst canopy roofs and added lighting to them. There are some general ideas that are true, but I've got video links down below to 3 videos that show how I built the roofing and added the sound system into the roof and the lighting, because it was very, very inexpensive. To light, literally the cost to light these canopies and add the speakers, the cost was probably $10. And they light up perfectly. No fancy lighting system, but you can watch the videos and see how I did it. So this is some final shots of the mock-ups with pretty much everything done but a couple of signs that still had to go in a couple of places, and adding a bunch of people. And I'm already clearing out space to add the bus center, which would be a different video. And here you can see the backside. This is the north entrance side. Over here's the north entrance area where that Elfin grill was. And I'm only beginning to add people, but again, you can see I've added the signage hanging down everywhere, the Delmenhorst Station announcement, the train arrival and departure signs up here, the sitting areas, pop machines, garbage cans, and just lots and lots of people to go in, the various announcement signs and information signs. And here you can see the whole thing lit up. And I am very pleased with this. 3 years later, I'm very proud of how this came out, both the lower section and the upper section. I can't, I know I can build. I know I can build and cobble things together. Sometimes it looks sloppy, but that was back when I actually worked and could work. So I'm going to say to everybody, if you did tune in and you like this, please give it a like, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. I love to hear from you. But that was a pictorial trip through, very quick, of how I built my Delmenhorst station. So until I come up with another video, I will say, Auf Wiedersehen, choose, happy trains, take care everybody.